Is there a secret nuclear deal with Iran? The White House says no, but two Republican lawmakers, freshly returned from meetings overseas, say yes. This is Special Report. Good evening. Welcome to Washington. I'm Bret Baier. As President Obama continues to both court and mock critics of his legacy-shaping nuclear agreement with Iran, there is word tonight of a separate, covert deal between the Islamic Republic and the UN's nuclear team. Two of them, in fact, that are not going to be shared with members of Congress nor with you. Chief Washington correspondent James Rosen is at the White House tonight.
Two Republican lawmakers, Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas and Congressman Mike Pompeo of Kansas, allege that officials at the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, informed them in Vienna last week that the UN nuclear watchdog secretly reached two quote-unquote side deals with Iran, one governing access to the military base at Parchin, the suspected site of clandestine experiments with high explosives, the second dealing with other questions surrounding the nuclear program's possible military dimension. Pompeo told Fox News that Secretary of State John Kerry, briefing lawmakers on the deal today, acknowledged that he himself had not seen the IAEA's separate deals with Iran.
I can't imagine any member of Congress returning to their district and telling their constituents that they're going to vote for an agreement of this historic importance when they haven't even seen all of the documents.
Top Obama aides denied withholding from lawmakers the details of any agreements reached with Iran.
We have provided Congress with all the documents that we drafted or were part of drafting, and all documents that have been shared with us by the IAEA.
In early July, IAEA Chief Yukiya Amano quietly traveled to Tehran to finalize the terms of agency inspections. U.S. officials said the documents memorializing those agreements are held only by the two parties, but that their substance is no mystery to Washington.
We have been briefed on those documents. We know their contents. We're satisfied with them, and we will share the contents of those briefings in full in classified session with the Congress.
Appearing on The Daily Show late Tuesday, President Obama sought to disarm critics of the deal by invoking a Republican with a reputation for hawkishness on national security.
Typically they're vague and they fall back on, well, if you had beat your chest a little bit more and
2011, if you had just done it in 2011,
if
they'd give you the country.
Or if you had brought Dick Cheney to the negotiations,
let's not get crazy.
Everything would be fine.
I'm not sure why the president was so fixated on my dad there, but certainly, it would be hard to have gotten a worse deal.
Today also marked the one-year anniversary of Washington Post reporter Jason Rezaian being held captive in Iran. His fate was not tied to the talks, and now the Washington Post has petitioned the United Nations Human Rights Council to work on an urgent basis for Rezaian's release. Brett?
James, in addition to the many questions about American hostages, there are also these questions about the sanctions being lifted on key figures from Iran's nuclear and military agencies.
Yes, and one of the individuals who will be removed from the sanctions lists of the United Nations and the European Union over the next 8 years is Qasem Soleimani, head of the Iranian military's Quds Force, and a figure squarely on the radar of Army Chief of Staff General Raymond Odierno.
Qasem Soleimani is the one who's been exporting malign activities throughout the Middle East for some time now. He is absolutely responsible for killing many Americans. In fact, I would say the last 2 years I was there, the majority of our casualties came from his surrogates, not Sunni or Al-Qaeda.
That from an interview this week with our Pentagon correspondent Jennifer Griffin. Brett?
James Rosen live in the North Lawn. James, thank you. A Kenyan newspaper has reportedly published a second, supposedly top-secret Air Force One schedule for President Obama's upcoming trip. We told you last night how the original timetable had been emailed to a large number of people by a Kenyan government official. The Secret Service refused to comment. Today, White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said there is no reason to change security precautions. Now to politics. Never has the dichotomy, that is, the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign, been in sharper focus than tonight. She is still far and away the Democratic favorite. But Clinton is taking more and more severe hits with the public on character issues, and for the first time in head-to-head matchups with multiple Republican candidates. Chief White House correspondent Ed Henry has that story.
While her advisors call it an aberration, there's fresh evidence Hillary Clinton's presidential bid has run smack into a summer stall. A new Quinnipiac University poll finds in the battlegrounds of Colorado, Iowa, and Virginia, Clinton is losing in head-to-head matchups with 3 Republicans: former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, and Florida Senator Marco Rubio. A sharp fall for Clinton from Quinnipiac's April poll, which showed her leading most Republicans, as questions about emails and the Clinton Foundation have eroded her favorability rating.
It's a hard number to move, and it's a hard number to change, and especially when you've had a 30-year career in which the public has watched you and basically has made a judgment that they don't trust you or they don't particularly like you.
Except Democrats note the 3 Republicans named in the Quinnipiac poll, plus the rest of the crowded GOP field, are all getting roughed up.
None of these 3, Bush, Rubio, or Walker, have a lock on the Republican nomination right now.
The new poll, though, shows Clinton is still dogged by the honesty issue, with voters in the same 3 battlegrounds saying she's not trustworthy by wide margins. To try and go on offense, Clinton's camp has a new video reviving the War on Women charge, after Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell declared the gender card is not enough for her to win. The only woman running for the Republican nod, Carly Fiorina, says that rhetoric is stale, and she's urging Republicans to follow Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment.
I guess I would say to Donald Trump, in the end, it is Hillary Clinton we have to beat. So maybe it'd be nice to
frustrate you a little bit.
Maybe it'd be nice to take a shot at her occasionally, as I have been doing for months.
As the Federal Election Commission today released Donald Trump's 92-page financial disclosure form, which he says shows a fortune of over $10 billion, he agreed with Fiorina it's time to focus on Clinton.
If I'm chosen, I will beat Hillary, and I'll also get the Hispanic vote. I employ thousands and thousands of Hispanics. They love me.
When you look deeper inside this Quinnipiac poll, particularly interesting that Bernie Sanders runs as well or better than Clinton against Bush, Rubio, and Walker, makes you wonder if this is an opening for Vice President Biden or another top Democrat to get in this race. Brett. It's one to watch. Thank you. Good to see you. President Obama mocked his critics last night in another appearance on late-night TV, as you saw. Senior political correspondent Mike Emanuel tells us, though, the president made a special point to try to rewrite history on one particular scandal.
Well, on The Daily Show, President Obama said the IRS targeting of conservative groups didn't happen and said, blame Congress.
Look, you got this back office, and they're going after the Tea Party. Well, it turned out, no. Congress had passed a crummy law that didn't give people guidance in terms of what it was they were trying to do.
The president continued defending the tax collection agency with Jon Stewart poking fun.
You really do have only a year left. That's unbelievable. But throwing it out there.
No, but hold on, John. This is important. But the truth of the matter is that there was not some big conspiracy there. They were trying to sort out these conflicting demands. You don't want all this money pouring through non-for-profits, but you also want to make sure that everybody's being treated fairly.
Yet the Treasury Inspector General, the internal watchdog, concluded the IRS did give Tea Party and other conservative groups seeking tax-exempt status extra scrutiny. And today, Republicans reacted strongly.
They systematically and for a sustained period of time targeted people for exercising their most fundamental right, their right to speak in a political fashion, their free speech rights under the First Amendment, and they went after conservative groups. They were put on a list, they were denied their tax-exempt status, so of course there was targeting.
If in fact what he's saying is that this was no conspiracy and this is all some sort of something being made up, then be more open about it, be transparent, and explain to us why, as you said, Lois Lerner refused to testify on the grounds that she might incriminate herself. Incriminate herself against what, if there is no conspiracy?
Lois Lerner is the former IRS official who publicly said she did nothing wrong but twice refused to answer questions from Congress. But Mr. Obama says the true issue is the IRS doesn't have the resources to go after tax cheats.
The real scandal around the IRS right now is that it has been so poorly funded that they can't go after these.
But that's recent as well.
They cannot go after these folks.
Well, maybe he should transfer the hundreds, maybe thousands of people they've hired to enforce Obamacare over to the collections part of the IRS.
No matter what the president says, Congress is not giving up. A new Government Accountability Office study on the IRS targeting is due out in the morning, timed with testimony from IRS Commissioner John Koskinen. Brett?
Mike Emanuel live on the Hill tonight. Mike, thanks. Up next, was the Chattanooga shooter radicalized in Jordan? We will take you there. First, here's what some of our Fox affiliates around the country are covering tonight. Fox 5 in New York with a huge warehouse fire in North Brunswick, New Jersey. Flames from the Toyota body shop could be seen for miles. Police at the scene say high levels of arsenic have been found in the smoke. Fox 31 in Denver with the first day in the sentencing phase of the trial of convicted theater shooter James Holmes. He was found guilty last week on 165 counts of murder and other crimes. Holmes killed 12 and injured 70 in that 2012 attack. And this is a live look at Tampa from our affiliate Fox 13. Some bugs in the camera. They're covering the search for a bus passenger so upset that he headbutted the bus and lost. This happened in Winter Haven after the driver told the man it would cost him $2 more to go to another destination. The driver got out and locked the bus, and that's when the passenger headbutted the bus, cracked the glass, and briefly knocked himself out. There you go. That's tonight's live look outside the Beltway from Special Report. We'll be right back.